Hello and welcome everyone to 2024 DigiMarCon and Texpo here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a very special guest today, John Wibben, Captain of Books. I actually really like the uniform. Can you go into a little about your story about how you came up with this concept and what inspired it? I think people at home would love to hear about that.
Absolutely. So I'm a marketer. I'm a branding guy, and I love marketing. And I thought, the book industry, book publishing, book ghostwriting, it's kind of boring, kind of stale, kind of old school. It's not. It needs fun. We need some fun, right? And a lot of old school industries kind of need that fun thing. And I'm kind of a ham on stage, whatever. I like hamming it up, right? I like being in front of a camera. It runs in my family. My dad was a ballroom dancer. My brothers were all actors. And so it runs in the family. And so I wanted to make it fun. And so what happened was I was looking for a URL for the company. I knew I wanted to start a book production company, agency. But I looked at like Book Pros, Book Experts, all the ones you would think, and they were all taken. And then finally, after looking at 100 URLs, I'm like, what about the Captain of Books? And my wife goes, hey, you could play off the whole yacht rock thing, and that could be your brand. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. So that's why I'm wearing this.
Fantastic. I actually love that. I've never seen that before. And I think you mentioned this is actually an authentic replication of a uniform, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, well, you can buy a captain's outfit on Amazon, right? But it's a costume. I said, if I'm going to be the captain of books, I got to have a real shirt that like a captain would actually buy and wear. So I went on with the website they all go to for like the yacht captains, and I bought a shirt and it was like $120, but it was money well spent and it's a well-made shirt. I made one mistake though. The stripes on here is not a captain. It's like an admiral or something. I didn't know anything about it. Some guy pointed it out to me. I'm like, I think I'm just going to stick with what I got. So,
That's okay. It still looks really cool, and it's still an authentic of that that type of uniform.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, can you talk a little about your book planning and ghostwriting, and I guess which sets you apart from some of the other publishing agencies out there? And then maybe speak to some of the creatives, because I'm also creative. I'm also working on a TV series, and other people that have like book series they're working on or things. Maybe some ideas for them to think about, and why it would be important for them to partner with agencies like you.
Love it. So there's really 3 different areas of book production, right? There's book planning and writing, the ghostwriting part. Then there's book promotion. And then there's book publishing. Okay. We're big on the beginning part, the first stage, which is the planning and writing. We recommend actually that most of our clients self-publish. So because the publishing industry, it's tough to get a publishing deal, number one. It takes time. You got to have an agent to work on your behalf. That costs money. You might get a $10,000 advance, maybe, but it's very competitive. It's tough to get a publishing deal. And self-publishing, you control the whole thing as an author, and you want to control it. Example, my second book, I had a publisher, and this is like 12 years ago, but I didn't like the cover of the book, and I told them I didn't like it. I said it in a very nice way. They're like, basically, tough luck, we like it. And I'm like, my name's on the book. I had no say in the matter. At that point, I'm like, I'm never going to use a publisher again. So I went back to self-publishing on my third book, and that's for all those reasons, that's why we recommend people to self-publish when they work with us. So we help people conceptualize what the book should be. We help them research. We interview them. We interview people that they want to be in the book. We understand. We try and get their tone and their voice and their personality. So we're writing it like we're them. That's really important. And then we actually write the book for them. And we work in collaboration with them. It's a very collaborative process. It usually takes 2 to 4 months. So we're pretty quick. We compete against Forbes Books is our biggest competitor, and they're a well-known name, Forbes. Everyone knows Forbes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They are the Rolls-Royce of our industry, and they're great people, and they do great work, but they're fairly expensive. So we actually get people that have tried them or like gotten a proposal from them, and they just simply can't afford it. They come to us, and we're able to usually meet their needs. So there's a lot of ghostwriting firms out there. There's a lot of freelancers, but what you got to understand if you're producing a book is there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of steps you got to do right to make a good book, like a really good book. And we don't do bad books. We don't do good books. We do great books. So the author client has to be passionate and enthusiastic and really care about their topic. If they aren't, we probably won't work with them because it's a collaboration, like I said, and they got to be all in on it, not only in the producing of it, and we're going to write it for them, for the most part, but in promoting the book, that's when the our client needs to step in and really help promote it. Otherwise, the book won't do much. And so the other part of that is our author clients, we always recommend, hey, if you have a great book, you probably want to be out there and speak on it. And you, by the way, you'll get paid to speak sometimes, a lot of times, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a keynote. And that's how you pay for the book with us. So it's a whole process. All in all, it takes like a year to get all that done if you're starting from scratch. But that's essentially what we do for people. So
that's fantastic. And with your marketing experience as well, it's good because it's not like, oh, I'm just involved with the ghostwriting and just this process. It's like you're thinking about it from end to end, right?
100%.
Which is fantastic. Yeah. On that note, do you guys work with, is it a particular genre or are you open to all genres? I know that, like, for example, some people may come and be like, oh, I've got a fantasy series, like what I'm working on. And other people might be like, well, I have a technical manual or something, you know, so like
range there. Yeah. So we mainly do nonfiction business books,
right?
Not just business. We do memoirs and things like that. However, we just signed a deal for our first children's book.
Oh, very cool.
Last week. We've never done a children's book, but we're looking forward to doing that. Obviously, there's a lot of illustration design in that, and that takes time, but we're looking forward to doing that. We've actually never done a fiction book, so it's not really our thing. We do have a partner that we recommend people to go to, freelance person that does a great job, but I think if you're doing fiction, you stay in that lane. If you do nonfiction, you stay in that lane. I think it's kind of hard to do both really well. So yeah, mainly business nonfiction is what we do.
Very good.
Yeah.
And do you have any, I guess, tips or tricks for creatives out there that are thinking about maybe having a book that haven't stepped like fully? You know, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I'm going to write a book someday, and they don't actually do it, you know? So what would you say to motivate them to like actually act on those dreams? And
yeah, you're right. A lot of people do say that. Yeah. And I wonder what the stat is for every 10 people that say that, how may actually write a book. It's probably 1 or 2. For creatives, so creatives are so important in the process because the idea and the title and all the creativity that goes in it is the most important thing. Okay. But what some creatives are not good at are deadlines and actually getting it done. Yep. I know I'm a creative too. I'm a songwriter and I have a tough time with deadlines. However, if I make a deadline for myself, that's always a good thing because then I know I got to hit that deadline, right? So in my mind, it's a good thing. But my point being that for creatives, we hold their hand through the process. We keep them on a schedule and we have 3 or 4 people in the process that hold them accountable. And also, hey, we need the creativity too. You got to have both, right? But so that's where we're able to step in and really help creative people get the book done because that's the hard part, actually getting it done and getting it out there. And a lot of people, not just creatives, you've heard the term imposter syndrome, which I don't like. I don't like that because I think there's power in every person. A lot of people just don't know they have it, right? So no one's an imposter. Everyone has something special inside them. Our job as writing their book is to help them find what that is and then tell the world about it, right? So, but my point is that you have to have a confidence, not an arrogance, but an ego, if you will. Because if you're going to get out there and speak and be in front of people and try and convince people, you got to have a healthy ego. So that's part of it too. So I like saying that because some people, they start working with us and they're like, oh, wait, I got to get out there and speak on this book and like sign copies and stuff. I don't know if I can do that. They can. They just have to work towards that, and we help them with that too. So,
and then I guess on the other end, do you have anything that you would say to maybe business owners, like small business owners that have a lot of knowledge that haven't maybe thought about writing a book, or maybe they're just now hearing about this and starting thinking, I could do that,
right?
And maybe they're less creative and just more like business minded, because I know a lot of those are conference attendees. And
great question. So with that, it's kind of the opposite of the creative person, right? A lot of these folks will write a book or start writing a book. And unfortunately, sometimes those books are sort of like all the other books. They're not saying anything unique or different because there's a missing creative piece, right? I'm not saying all the time, but many times it's another management book or another marketing book. And no one ends up buying it because it's just like all the other books, right? So I said yesterday in my session that try and find an angle, try and find a niche or something different, or come up with a new way of expressing something. Like my last book, I did a spin on the 4 P's of marketing. I came up with a new matrix for marketing that no one had ever come up with before. So that would be my advice for business owners is work with a creative person or just dig deep inside yourself and say, hey, how can I bring some creativity to this? And if you struggle with that, then we can help you. So, and by the way, a book is a great way to brand and to like differentiate yourself as a small business. When you're competing with a bunch of other small businesses, if you got a book with your name on it, where you're saying important things, that's going to get you a deal sometimes or a project when the other company won't get that deal just because your name is on a book. There's a lot of power in that. So
Definitely. Well, that's fantastic. I guess to finish off, can you say any special things maybe that you've been to a couple of these conferences
Yes.
now? So, what your experience has been like at DigiMarCon and Texpo? Why people should attend these kind of in-person conferences?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of DigiMarCon. Aaron is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. I actually knew him before he started this. I knew we were friends on LinkedIn, and he started this. And I'm like, I watched it kind of grow. And what I love about DigiMarCon is the footprint. Number one, I mean, how many cities and countries do you guys go to? It's remarkable, and I think you're the only marketing conference that does that. I also like how intimate it is. It's smaller. I like smaller conferences because you can get to meet almost everybody if you want to, and it's just there's just a quality of the conference that I think is higher than, like, I've been to Inbound HubSpot. They put on a great conference, but it's 10, 20, 30,000 people, and it's like a little city. And I get lost in that kind of that number of people at a conference. So I like the smaller conferences, and there's so much to like about it. But I think those are the main reasons.
All right. Fantastic. Well, definitely come check out Captain of Books if you go to our conferences. Check out his book. What's the name of the last book that you wrote that you were talking about? The
Future Marketing, okay. Winning in the Prosumer Age. And I'm currently writing the second edition of that. And it should come out in Q2 of 2025. So.
Okay, definitely. So check out his book, check out his website, come by his booth. You can't miss it. It's got this cool little wheel logo. Yeah, it's
come
awesome.
See the captain.
Yes, come see the captain. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our conference. We loved having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing you speak at some of our other conferences.
Thanks, Jedediah. Appreciate it.